Stevie Milhausen here for the takedown on Sports Illustrated. I keep talking to many people in the latter half of 2024, and they got some really cool backgrounds, and we're gonna
Yeah,
definitely get into that. He doesn't need too much of an introduction. He is, and we're gonna break it right here on the takedown on Sports Illustrated. He has re-signed. Yes, re-signed.
hmm
He's going nowhere. He is
hmm
staying with TNA Wrestling, the one and only, the big guy himself, AJ Francis. And AJ, first of all, happy holidays to you and your family.
Thank you.
And we'll just start there. Many people thought you may be going elsewhere, and I had
hmm
conversations with people in TNA about this last night. But you're staying here. What led to the decision to stay with TNA Wrestling?
well, TNA's taken care of me over the last year. A year ago, I wasn't the most sought after free agent. Um, a year ago, people thought I wasn't going to wrestle anymore. A year ago, people thought that my wrestling career might be done. Um, and a year ago, TNA took me in for their very first show, Hard to Kill in Vegas. And that was the very first night that I interacted with Joe Hendry. And 1 year later, Joe Hendry's the biggest star in wrestling. And, he can still send me a box of cigars for that whenever he wants. And it's been a blessing with the fact that TNA has done so much for me in the last year. Obviously, this is a business. It's not called the wrestling friendship. It's called the wrestling business. I always wanted to go back to TNA, even though over the past week I've made it clear that I could go anywhere. And there were feelers out for me, you know, potentially going over to AEW, maybe going back to NXT, maybe because I never really got a run in NXT. I was only in NXT for like 4 months when I was in NXT, and then Swerve did most of wrestling when I was there. So, it was it wasn't really I didn't really get a run in NXT, and maybe go back to SmackDown. You know, obviously going to Netflix for Raw would have been cool too, but and there was a lot of options out on the table for me, and TNA just feels like the best place for me. TNA has always, since the day that I got there, changed people's perception of me. Um, my last match in TNA was for the TNA World Title, an absolute banger of a match in the main event of Final Resolution against Nick Nemeth. Um, and TNA in 1 year took me from someone that people pretended couldn't wrestle to a bona fide main eventer, to the best big man in the business. And if TNA could do that in 1 year, imagine what they could do in another year where I start the year as a bona fide main eventer. So I'm very much, happy with the decision to go back to TNA. Hold on. I decided to take my talents back
Like
to
that.
TNA. Oh yeah, there we go.
Ooh, that hat looks good on you, sir. Looks
Thanks.
good on you.
Yeah, man.
When did you start to kill? Because I remember when you debuted in January at Hard to Kill, and right away it's people are like, "Oh, what's he doing here?" And then
hmm
as you seen the year go on, you really got into a really good rhythm, and
hmm
people were like, "Okay, maybe our
Yeah,
perception was wrong of him." When did
yeah.
you feel the tide started to shift for you and you started to change, not the perception of others, but the perception for yourself?
I always knew I was a main eventer. Always knew that me not being getting the opportunity to be a main eventer everywhere I went was a travesty of justice. I always knew I was this good. I didn't like people think that I got better as a wrestler this year. But I'm using all the same moves that I used in 2019 when I first started wrestling. I'm using the same running knee. I'm using the same spear. I'm using the same choke slam. I'm just doing it with more time. You know, 20-minute main event title match versus Nick Nemeth. It was my longest singles match that I've had. And it was my first title match that I had for the world title in any company, and went out and put on an absolute banger. It wasn't a lack of ability, it was a lack of opportunity. When Tommy Dreamer in his infinite wisdom, in the go home promo before Slammiversary, right before I'm going through the curtain, he says, "You got 6 minutes. Say whatever you want." And I go out there and put on a masterclass promo. It's because I was given time. It's because I was given the opportunity. It's because I was given the mic. I didn't just get good at promos. I mean, I've been writing when I was in WWE. I was writing promos for a lot of people. People just don't know that. There are people who've been in this game for 20 plus years, had been in WWE for 10 plus years. Before they would go, out and do their promo, they'd come over to me in the locker room and ask me what I thought about it, because they'd see me promo on live shows, even though I never got to promo on TV. They'd see me promo on live shows. They'd see me promo online. They'd hear my rap songs and they'd be like, "Yo, this guy's special with his words. I wonder what he thinks about this." So, like, I've been the best kept secret in the industry for a long time. Um, it's funny because a year ago, when it was announced I was coming to TNA, the discourse by TNA fans was, "Why is he coming? We don't need him. What's he doing here?" And then over the last week, when I was, out here saying, "Yeah, I might be leaving," it became, "Please come back to TNA. We love you at TNA. It's been great at TNA. You got so much love at TNA. Please." So it's funny what a year can change. A year can change everything. And you know, it was never there was never anything that made me want to leave TNA. It's just a business, and I got to do what's best for me. And luckily, we were able to come to terms, and it works great for both sides. I love the fact that this company is growing. Just got a television deal in Canada. Trying to get a major television deal in the United States. It helps a lot to, be on a roster that, if I would have went to AEW or WWE or NXT, even though I would be coming in as um coming off the best year of my career, like I would have to start over. Like and I would have to start over. I'm not saying start over at the bottom, but I have to, you know, start over from scratch. Um, but coming back to TNA, my last match was for the TNA World Title in the main event. I'm a main eventer, and so like coming back to TNA a year ago, I was a promo on the pre-show, my first time showing up at TNA. And now I'm a bona fide main eventer. So imagine what we can do this year in 2025. New TV deal in Canada. Unfortunately, Joe Hendry's hotter than ever. I wish him nothing but the worst. Nick Nemeth, the Hardys, Moose, Jordan Grace. I mean, the roster's stacked. And I'm at the top of it. And I am very excited to be in TNA.
Who's buying the cigar? What kind of cigars is Hendry buying you, and what kind do you like?
Okay. I'm gonna say he's gonna give me some Monte Cristo Blancos. I'm a
Ooh.
big I heard one time ago, a long time ago, that Che Guevara used to smoke Monte Cristos in the Cuban jungle. He used to smoke like
Hmm.
three a day. And in the jungle. And that's somebody who smokes Monte Cristos. You smoke one of those, you get a pretty good buzz, right? So
Yes.
so you smoke three of those in the jungle. I can only imagine what he's going through. You know what I'm saying? So, if it was good enough for Che, it's good enough for me, man. So, I love Monte Cristos. That's another thing I like about TNA. There's a camaraderie there. After every show, Frankie Kazarian, Eric Young, they got big fat stogies, and they hand them out to the boys, and we smoke them outside the hotel. You know, and it's a good time. Throw back a couple brewskis. It's there's no locker room like the TNA locker room that I've ever been in, and I'm glad that we were able to come to terms with TNA because like I said, I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave. But I also know my value. I know my worth. I know over the last year, I've helped TNA get on ESPN multiple times, Fox multiple times, Sports Illustrated, ABC, NBC, CBS, at the Mark Wahlberg Celebrity Golf Invitational, the Super Bowl Media Row, NFL.com, TMZ multiple times. Like I, I'm the person that with the connections in the media throughout, crossover appeals, things I've done in my career from the NFL, from
Mhm.
WWE, from even before the NFL when I was doing TV when I was at Maryland in college. So it's like I bring a lot to the table, and I know that. You know, as my nana likes to say, you can't piss in my face and tell me it's raining. So
You always have to listen to Nana. I
you know
always
what I'm saying?
I
You can't piss in my face and tell me it's rated. So I know my value. I know my worth. I know what I bring to the table, and TNA does too. And so that's why I'm very glad that we were able to come to terms. And it's a good time to be in TNA. I think 2025, 2024, TNA was. I mean, it was back. It was back, and I think 2025 TNA is going to be better than ever.
what like you said, you'd been teasing contract was coming up, you
Hmm.
may be going somewhere else.
Hmm.
Where and like you said, feelers all over the place.
Hmm.
When do you what is that process like? Who do you lean on in this situation? I think I saw your beautiful wife behind you before we even started this
No,
interview. No,
no.
no. Okay, no, you don't lean on her. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
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 no,
well,
no,
well,
that's just not my life.
oh, okay. All right. Beautiful person back there then. We will, who do you lean on when you're going through and trying to make this decision? Because it is a big decision. This is your future. Like you said, this is your career. And you got a family you got to think about. So who are you leaning on during these negotiations to be like, maybe you're leaning one way, maybe you're leaning one way, maybe they're all tied. So how do you make that decision to be like, you know what, I'm staying here? Who helps you out in a situation like that?
I trust myself.
Okay.
Um, like Snoop Dogg said, I want to thank me for believing in me, um, for doing the work for me. Um, I negotiated deals for myself for a long time. You don't get to this position, uh, you know, at my age without having to have a business acumen. Like I said, it's the wrestling business. And I understand that there are people in every company that don't like the position they're in. Every company. Um, and I like the position I'm in TNA. I like the fact that Tommy Dreamer believes in me wholeheartedly and is willing to put me in situations where I get to show how good I really am. Um, and yes, there was obviously, I mean, on the first, I would have been a free agent and the world could have been my oyster. But, TNA has been nothing but good to me since the day that I showed up. This year was a big transition year for TNA. Um, but for me, it was just a year of growth. It was a year of proving who I was because I've always been able to tell you who I was, and a lot of people didn't listen. A lot of people didn't want to hear it. now I've shown you who I am. So now you can't deny it, right? So, um, a lot of times I lean on my own thoughts, my own beliefs because when I was 16 years old and I told people that I was going to play D1 college, people told me, oh, I don't know. Then when I was in college and I told people I was going to play in the NFL, they were like, oh, I don't know. Then when I was in the NFL and I told people I was going to WWE, they were like, oh, I don't know. And I did all those things. So, why would I listen? Hold on. Sorry.
You're good. Oh, you're good.
So where is this? So, so why would I listen to anyone other than me? I believe in me and always have, to a fault. And this year has been so great to me. It's like today I'm hosting the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl for the second year, right? Last year it was I got it here. Iowa versus
Cheez It
Tennessee,
Citrus. Yes,
you
sir.
know.
The Cheez It
Today
Citrus Bowl
today's South Carolina
and
versus
Illinois.
Illinois.
Hmm.
Um, and that's another thing. It's like nobody else in wrestling is getting those opportunities without their boss making a call for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Nobody else in wrestling has the juice to be able to pull these things off like I do. Without their boss making it happen. Um, I'm a star in this business, and I've proven it this year in TNA, and that's why I'm excited to be going back.
I know you're rooting for Illinois because I'm based in Chicago, so I'm rooting for the Fighting Illini today, Mr. Francis. No South
I,
Carolina today, my
I
friend.
did. I did. Brett Bielema was cool. I met him yesterday. That was cool to be able to meet him. Um, last year I'm as a Big Ten guy. I went to Maryland
Yep.
last year.
Yes, sir. Got to root for us.
The Big Ten got smoked. Tennessee, I think it was 30 to
Yep.
nothing.
That's not
So,
happening. That's not happening this year, Mr. Francis.
so
Big Ten stomping this year.
well, hopefully, I hope as a Big Ten guy, you're right, but man, I hope so because South Carolina, they got a good team, man,
Yeah,
and
they do.
it was cool to like. I love the festivities for the Citrus Bowl because they do like a little pep rally in Orlando, and it was packed. I mean, shoulder to shoulder, wall to wall, could not move for both teams. Illinois and South Carolina both were packed.
Yeah,
So it's an awesome experience to Cheese and Citrus Bowl. And it's a cool brand. Obviously, Joe Hendry dubbed me the Cheez It champion. He's gonna have to dub me the two-time Cheez It champion now. So that'll be fine. We always love big brand sponsorships.
absolutely.
It's like when The Rock called John Cena Fruity Pebbles, and then
Yep.
John Cena got
Look
on a
back.
Fruity Pebbles box. It's like, who really won? You know?
Exactly. So we got to get you on the. We got to get you now on the Cheez It box.
Yeah, that'd be great. Like what the head coach of Illinois said, is, I woke up today feeling the cheesiest. You know?
A couple more questions, AJ. Thank you so much for this
Cool.
time this morning. It's
No
greatly
problem.
appreciated. And you are doing it is really cool. You are the Grand Marshal for the parade later on today, ahead of the Cheez It Citrus Bowl between South
Hmm.
Carolina and my Fighting Illini, about an hour and 20 minutes away south of Champaign. And
Hmm.
when did you make this decision to decide this is where I'm planting the flag?
Yesterday. I mean, literally, we had a discussion yesterday on the 30th. Uh, we had a final discussion, really this morning, up to the last day. I mean, today is the last day of my current deal. Um, and, like like I said, I know my worth, and I'm glad that TNA was able to make it happen. I got what I wanted out of the deal, and so I was willing to go into free agency if it didn't you know pan out how I wanted it to. And luckily everything was able to come together, and another year in TNA. Another year proving that I'm the best big man in the business. Another year choke slamming people out of their damn boots. So it'll be it'll be another great year. TNA this year we're doing bigger venues than we had in the past. Um, it's we got you know the what's called the I think it's called the UBS Arena now, but the Nassau
UBS Arena.
Coliseum. The Nassau
UBS Arena.
Coliseum. I performed there when I was in WWE. It's a incredibly cool, large venue with a lot of history. So like we got big venues this year, big shows. We're going live um, sometimes this year on Thursdays. So, this is a big year for TNA. It's a big year for us to prove who TNA is. And we came back as TNA, and this wasn't just a rebrand. It wasn't just, lipstick on a pig. It was a complete change. Um, and it allowed us to prove why we're the best company. Um, we're going to give you absolutely fire matches from the best performers in the world, um, and an atmosphere unlike anywhere else. Um, and there's a lot of history there. Like like it was cool to me when I had the TNA World Title match. Like some of the biggest names in this business's history, like have been TNA World Champion. So to be able to, have an opportunity at a title like that, it meant a lot. And to go out and absolutely tear the roof off the joint, and immediately plant my flag as I'm not just the best talker in TNA. I'm not just the best big man in TNA. I'm the best big man in the business. I don't care who you are. I'm not afraid to talk with anybody. I'm the best talker in the business. I look the prettiest. Like, there's nobody better than me. And I know that. And anybody with eyes that know that. Hell, when I was backstage at AEW, I ran across Jeff Jarrett, and I had never met Jeff Jarrett. And I went to introduce myself, and I went up to shake his hand because he had just finished his match with QT Marshall. And when I go to shake his hand, I go, Jeff, great match. And at first he goes, oh, thanks, man. He said, uh, um, and then he looks and he realizes who I am, and he goes, AJ Francis. He goes, hey, man, you're one hell of a heel. You're an incredible heel. I love your work. And I sit there and I'm like, Jeff Jarrett knows who I am. And then I'm like, oh yeah, of course, duh. Jeff Jarrett loves TNA. Like, why
Yes,
would he? Duh.
absolutely.
Why would he not know? You know what I'm saying? But like, you never know who is digesting what you do, right? So, you know, for somebody like Jeff Jarrett to put me over and my work over, like within seconds of seeing me for the first time, I mean, he's done everything there is to do in this business. For someone like Tommy Dreamer to give me the ball and let me do what I do best, let me go out there and talk for as long as I want to talk, put me in main event matches, all these different things. With the career that he has, with the eye that he has, like it means a lot. It means a lot to me that these guys understand my value and how good I am, because I, for the longest time, was the only person that seemed to understand it. Right. So a year ago, you can ask anybody who's in my life. A year ago, I told people what was going to happen. I said, when I got released from WWE, I said, man, I, I told Bully Ray, I was like, the only place I want to go is TNA. I was like, I want to go to TNA, and in a year's time, I'm going to show people that I'm a main eventer. And that's exactly what happened. And it took people opening their eyes and actually paying attention to what I was doing. It took opportunities like a digital media title run, like my feud with PCO, like making Joe Hendry a star. It took those opportunities, like the world title match with Nick Nemeth, like the tag team match with the Hardys. But Tommy Dreamer said it best. He said he's Bill Belichick and I'm Tom Brady. I'm the guy, like he said, I'm the guy that always comes through for him. I'm the guy that when he needs something to happen, I'm gonna get it done. And you know, I thrive in those moments. People were people were not expected. They didn't know what to expect in the world title match with me and Nick Nemeth. They didn't know what to expect. I knew what to expect. I knew that it was funny because it was like Tommy was gearing me up for it because our last taping before the Atlanta pay-per-view was in North Carolina. And I'm sure you're aware the Hardys are from North Carolina. And both nights of the tapings, the Hardys, who were home in North Carolina, were in the semi-main event, and First Class was in the main event. And I'm like, why are we following the Hardys in North Carolina? You know what I'm saying? Let the hard
You're not wrong.
let, let the Hardys go last in North Carolina. You know what I mean? That's what I was thinking though. Both nights. I was like, why aren't we following the Hardys? But it was because I had to follow the Hardys in the main event of Final Resolution. The Hardys were in the semi-main versus the system in the tables match for the World Tag Team titles, and I had to follow it. And it was just, you know, getting ready for that moment, being ready for that moment, understanding that moment. And even something as simple as that, living up to that moment, having to follow the Hardys on a pay-per-view, period. Having to follow the Hardys at all. Pay-per-view, taping, like I mean, TNA. I mean, people don't realize how the Hardys are the like most overact, like I think maybe ever. Like, like people don't understand that when we have a 3 hour show in which doors open an hour before the show. So really fans can be in there for 4 hours before the show ends, right? And then the Hardys will do a meet and greet, and their meet and greet will be longer than the show.
I've heard
The,
that.
Har- the Hardys will do a 3 hour wrestling show. I mean, TNA will do a 3 hour wrestling show, and then the Hardys will do a 3.5 hour meet and greet afterwards. Like they are one of one. So like having to follow them in general is crazy, but being able to have a match with them earlier this year, like that was a shining moment in my career. Um, Me and Casey Navarro. That's another thing I'm excited about with coming back to TNA is being the CEO of First Class. Getting Casey back. Back to a title contention. You know, it was cool for Casey to be a part of the main event, but we should be tag team champions. And there's no who would you rather take the tag team titles off than the Hardys?
I like what he's doing. I talked to him when he announced his new deal, and you could see he was so complimentary of you and how you've helped him grow as a performer. And
Oh,
that,
he's helped me, brother. He's taken way more bumps than I am.
so he's the bump man on the team. You
Yeah,
gotta
yeah, man. He's taking way more bumps than me. He
very
does.
complimentary of you.
Yeah, I appreciate. I appreciate me and Casey are cool, man. It's been a good run, and obviously, like starting with Rich. Um, that's it. We were both kind of in a tough spot. And hopefully we can get Rich back in the fold with First Class very soon. But we were kind of both in a tough spot when he had to, fill in for Rich because me and Rich were working so well and everything was going so well for us. Um, and like, you know, me and KC, our first this is gonna sound crazy. Our first time ever working together was for the TNA World Tag Team titles, and we put on an absolute banger with the ABC. Shout out Chris Bay and Ace Austin. Absolute banger with them boys for the World Tag Team titles. Um, and then the next night went out and did it again. Another banger with the ABC. Um, and KC's personality fits very well off mine on camera. He's a very young, talented kid. I won't say kid, he's a grown man. He's a very young, talented, grown man. And he's more than earned the respect of the audience, the respect of the boys in the back, the respect of the office. And all the bumps he's taken from me, he ain't got nothing but my respect. So, shout out KC. I mean, to be honest with you, like, yeah, I tell people all the time, like, because I always do end up with a bump guy. Um, it's just the way wrestling works. I don't know how it always happens. But
That's okay.
I always say I never really need one because if you see me in a singles match, I'm not bumping that much anyway. So
At least you're being honest about it.
yeah,
Some people would just blatantly lie about it. You're just
oh,
you're gonna be straight
bro,
about it.
bro, well, look, okay, be a big difference. 20-minute main event world title match. Super kid. I think I took like 5 bumps in the match. Like, and
I'd have to
that's a lot for
rewatch.
me. That's a
I,
lot for me.
I thought it was between 5 and 10. But
Yeah, it
I'll have to
was
rewatch
closer.
that
It
later.
was definitely closer to 5 to 10. I'll tell you that.
and we'll end with this. What goals do you have for yourself in TNA coming up here as we are about to approach the new calendar year as we enter
Hmm.
2025?
Um, Tag team goal for first class. Me and KC deserve and should be the tag team champions in TNA. Be the flag bearers of the tag team division in TNA. As well as it looks like, all things pointing towards Joe Hendry maybe actually being able to finish the job for once and becoming the TNA World Champion. And if TNA is led by Joe Hendry as the World Champion, I mean, let's be serious. A year ago, Joe Hendry was not a TNA World Title contender. Nobody would have believed that 1 year ago TNA would have Joe Hendry in a World Title match, right? And now he's the hottest act in wrestling, and he has me to thank for that. So if he happens to be lucky enough to have Nick Nemeth slip on a banana peel and Joe ends up as the TNA world champion, I'm going to take the world title from Joe Hendry. I'm going to be the world champion because if Joe Hendry can do it, it can't be that hard.
So you don't believe in Joe
I've
Hendry.
never believed in Joe Hendry. It's so funny because it's crazy how wrestling works. I'm the bad guy. I'm the guy that everybody boos. I'm the guy that's most hated, public enemy number one in TNA. That's me, right? I was debuting at TNA, minding my own business, okay? Debuting my music video, and Joe Hendry comes out, interrupts, and makes a song about me being the Cheez It champion, okay? And in that song, he says, "You'll never win the world title, the X division, or the tag, but you're the Cheez champion, the best they've ever had." Well, this year I'm going to win the tag team titles, and when he wins the world title, I'm going to take it from him. And if Moose don't act right, I'm gonna take the X division title from him because it's not. I don't like what Moose is doing. Moose keeps bullying these little boys, right? Moose keeps picking on these guys that are $1.75 when they got 2 bricks in their pockets, right? He he needs to fight a real man, somebody his size. Moose know that when we was in the NFL, he couldn't block me then, and he know that if we had a wrestling match, he can't beat me now. He knows that. I would have ate Moose for breakfast. He was an O lineman. I'm a D lineman. I would have ate him for breakfast on the actual football field. And in the ring, he gonna try to tire me out. I ain't gonna let him. I ain't gonna let him. I think that's probably the most underrated part of my game. A lot of people think because I'm big that I can't go, but I got stamina for days. Me and Moose, imagine X Division title match of Moose versus AJ Francis. It had to be the heaviest X Division title match of all time. It would have to be. I mean, I can't think of what. I mean, obviously Samoa Joe had a run with the X Division title, and
Mhm.
but as far as two big men fighting over the X Division title, it would have to be the big. That's 600 pounds a man. You know what I'm saying?
It's a lot of
600
beef.
pounds, 600 pounds a man fighting for that X Division title. So, that's something that would be cool. I mean, this year is going to be a big year for myself, for TNA, for everybody involved with TNA, from the people, at the top at Anthem to, the extras that come to the show. Everybody involved. It's going to be a big year for TNA. It's only getting bigger. It's only getting better. And I can't wait to have the year that I expected. A year ago, I told everybody coming in to TNA that even though I came in as a pre-show promo guy, I said I was gonna at the end of the year I was gonna be a main eventer, and I was right. And I won the digital media title this year, so I've already been a champion of TNA. This year, I'm telling you, I'm gonna win the tag team titles, and if Joe Hendry don't act right after he wins that title, if the first person he doesn't thank for being TNA Champion isn't me, I'm gonna take the TNA World Title from Joe Hendry too.
I think you should. I think you should just attack him right when you win, when he doesn't thank you. I think you
Oh
just go
yeah,
right in, you bamboozle him, and you let Mr. Hendry know who the man really is.
yeah, I need to. And then the problem is I gotta wait for Frankie to take care of that call your shot
Yeah,
gauntlet
that's right.
because
That's right.
the trophy. I gotta wait for him to take care of that because I don't want to jump Joe and then Frankie comes out and cashes in his call your shot and then now I just help Frankie win. I don't want to see Frankie win. I want to win. You know what I'm saying?
Or you know what you take out Frankie, you take the call your shot contract, and there you go. You I'm helping you out here, Mr. AJ
Hey,
Francis.
I mean, truthfully, I already pinned Frankie this year too. I pinned Frankie
There we
this year, so
go.
you
There we
know, I
go.
got to win over Frankie already this year. So it's things are looking up for old TNAJ Francis.
That contract is already yours and the world title is already yours. But no, this has been a pleasure. We have never chatted, and I want to say a big congratulations as AJ Francis has re-signed with TNA Wrestling, and we are looking forward to a great 2025 with you, AJ, at the helm. We've never talked. This has definitely been a pleasure. Thank you so much for the time today. It means a lot. We didn't even get to the background. Man, I want to. We'll
Oh,
get
let's
to
do
that.
it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
What's with this background here, really quickly? I like the lights around
Yeah,
the trophy, the trophies.
I like to keep it vibey. I like to keep it
I'm
vibey.
feeling it. I'm
It's
feeling it.
I can just show
Festive
you.
time of year.
It's
Festive time. Oh, there we go.
it's just easy this way. Like I got, I'm a world champion gamer, so these are a bunch of gaming trophies. These,
Ooh,
I
okay.
got game balls.
Soccer trophies, some footballs.
Real athlete game balls. My
Ooh, football
college
jersey.
jersey.
University of Maryland.
I got a Brent Grimes Pro Bowl jersey, one of my very best friends. He was
Ooh,
in the Pro Bowl. He was in the Pro Bowl 4 times, and he gave me one of his jerseys, so I prominently display that. I got a Cam
uh,
Wake signed jersey. They
ooh.
used to, he used to always say, "Take your place," which sounds like take your place, but it's like show them what you made of. You know what I'm saying? You have to
Yes.
take your
People get
place, and
offended.
that's
People get
and that's
offended
what
easy.
I did in TNA this year. I took my place. So I got some plaques on the wall. This is my studio too. So
Ooh, got a
I
little.
got plaques on the wall. So I got a cool little setup in here. This is where I play my video games too. So I know it's a cool. It's cool to be AJ Francis. You know what I'm
I
saying?
was just gonna say it is definitely cool to be you, and it has definitely been very cool to talk to you very early this morning and announce this breaking news that you have.
Yeah, and then let me tell you something, man. This Ross will tell you. I don't wake up before noon. Okay,
See, he
so
didn't. He didn't.
so
See, he didn't tell me that.
so the fact that I was willing to wake up before 9 a.m. to do this interview with you, I mean, pat yourself on the back. You've made it. Okay.
I definitely because I have two kids. I have an 8 and a 5-year-old, and they're on winter vacation, and they've been sleeping till at least 9 o'clock every day. And I'm like, Ross said this, we were talking a timeline, and I'm like, okay, this interview is gonna have to get done very early. And I'm like, all right, I'm like, how about this time? And he's like, well, he's like, we should be able to make that happen. And I didn't get a text too much longer later, and he said we
Ross,
were good to
Ross,
go.
Ross called me. He was like, "Can you do 9 a.m.?" I was like, "Yes, Ross, I can do 9 a.m. I don't want to. I don't
No,
want to. Like
I
I
hear
said,
you.
I don't wake up before noon. If I wake up before noon, know that I had a flight to catch. Okay, that's the only reason. It's the only reason I'm waking up before noon. Okay.
And I know you got a big day today. You're going to be the grand marshal for the Citrus Bowl, and then I know you'll be
Hmm.
at the game as well between South
Hmm.
Carolina and Illinois. So I had a feeling that you were going to be up early, and you got a lot of commitments today. So
That
I know
game
you.
don't start till 3. I was not
Yes,
gonna be up
but what
early.
time? What time do you got to be at the stadium?
I mean, for real, I don't gotta be there till like 2:30, but I'm gonna show up at
Oh,
probably noon.
okay.
I'm gonna show up at noon so I can walk around the stadium and do my duties there. It'll be a good time. It's always a lot of fun too. Big one day a year events. They're always fun, and
Yeah.
then it's always funny because it'll happen where, especially because I have it here. Yeah, season
Oh,
championship,
that
right?
is. Now, see, you got to bring that with you everywhere.
So everywhere.
You
So
got to bring that with you to
so
appearances and
so
stuff. Love
when I
that.
have this cheating championship, right? I'll have the title belt, and there will be people there that have absolutely no idea who I am, but they just see me with this cheated title, and they're like, "Oh my God, can I get a picture with you in the title?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And then while they're looking at their pictures or while they're scurrying away, other people who know who I am will come out and freak out that I'm there. Oh my God, AJ Prince! Oh my God, can't believe it! I'm such a big fan. I'm such a big fan. Da, da, da. And then those people who already took a picture with me just because of the title belt will come back and be like, "Who are you?"
How do
And
you take? I laugh. I wish I would get that. But how do you take that? Do you take that with a badge
I
of
mean,
honor, or do you take
yeah, I
it
mean,
with
it's
whatever?
part of the gig, man. I mean, I don't expect people to know who I am. I and when I'm in the airport at 5 in the morning and someone wants to take a picture with me, and then someone who doesn't know me wants to take a picture with me just because they saw somebody else take a picture with me, that's kind of annoying. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yes,
it's
that would
it's
be.
it's it's
Yeah.
different when you're only doing it for the fact that you saw somebody else do it. But if you genuinely I appreciate my fans. I appreciate people that's part of the gig. Like a lot of times when people come up to me, they'll come up to me and they'll say, "Oh, AJ, big fan, man," and I'll be the one to be like, "Yo, you want a picture?" Because I know they want a picture. You know what I'm saying? But they're too nervous to ask,
Oh
and
yeah.
they'll be like, "Yeah, is that okay? Is that okay? Please, is that okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, that's part of the gig. I didn't work this hard to be a star in the wrestling
Yeah.
business, to be in the NFL. I didn't work this hard for nobody to not have fans, for nobody to know who
Exactly.
I am. I'm nothing without the people that support me, the fans. And in the arena, supporting me sounds like booze. But outside
Yeah.
the arena, you know, you want a picture, you want an autograph, you want anything, that's cool. That's how I've always been. But it's funny when people don't know me and then they see other people who do know me and then they need to now they want to know my life story.
Oh, of
Right.
course. Of
Now they want
course.
to know, or the funny guys who will be like, or they'll be like, "Man, you play football, huh?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, I did. I used to play football." They'll be like, "Oh, and where'd you play?" And I could always say, "Oh, I played in the NFL," but then that'll extend the conversation longer than I wanted to, right? So,
I get
so
it.
I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I used to play." And they'll be like, "Oh, did you play in college?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, yeah, I did play in college." And I'll just be like, "No, that's it." They'll be like, "Well, where'd you play?" I'll be like, "Maryland." And I'm hoping that that's enough information for them to go away, right?
Yeah.
So, and and then they'll be like, and there's always this smart ass guy who's like, "Oh, but you couldn't make it to the league." And then now I got to be like, "Well, actually." I played 6 years in the NFL. How was your football career? And then and then they'll be like, Arthur, I played in high school. Shut your goofy ass up, man.
I get that a lot on social media. It'd be like, what do you, well, you just interview people, and I'm like, well, can you do this?
Yeah.
Who have you interviewed? And then I'll rattle off a couple names,
My
and they'll
favorite
be
thing is
like,
when people like, oh, you only had 20 tackles in the NFL. I'm
are you
like,
freaking kidding me?
did you have 20 tackles on JV? Get the
That would,
hell
or
out of
you,
my
you can even go, you can even go Pop Warner if you
Yeah, come on, bro. What
if
are you
you really
talking about?
wanted to.
Come on.
Because I always find that fascinating. Like you said, the autograph thing, and my kids are like that. We were at, like, I know some people in WWE, and it was a bigger talent, and my kids were so scared. And I've known this talent for a while, and just through other outlets I've been at, and we've become friends, and they were just so scared. And I'm like, and he already told me he was gonna do it, and I'm like, guys, I'm like, it's okay. I'm like, you say who, because they already introduced themselves, and then they got shy and they got curled
Yeah,
up,
they
and
get
I'm like,
nervous.
and I get it because they're 8 and 5, but I'm like, and he helped them out. He was so tremendous,
And it's
and
funny
I'm just like, it's
because
okay. I get,
it
but
happens
I get it though.
that happens to 8 and 5 year olds, and that happens to 28 and 25 year olds. So
That happens to that same person. My wife was 42. She's like, oh, uh, got all like just like and I completely get it. And I'm like, and he came out. He's like, oh, it's okay, Da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, and she got all freaked. Then she was like, she go, oh my God. And I'll just say it was Booker T. And she's like, oh my God, it was
love
Booker.
Booker.
And Booker's, and I'm talking with Booker later, and he's like, I'm like, man, I am so. He's like, nah, dog. He's like, that, and he was so chill about it. He could have been like, she was scared. Why was she scared? He's like, oh, I get it. And, it's, look at me. And I'm like, no. But even like at 42, Booker's
Yeah,
intimidating though, and you know this.
yeah. I work with Booker,
But
man. I
Booker's
work with
but he's a
Booker.
sweetheart though, and
He's
I'll say that
absolutely is. He absolutely is. Booker's a great guy, man. And
he's an absolute
I mean,
sweetheart.
he said he's making his comeback versus Illa Fatu in a couple weeks.
Yes, I
So
saw
that'll be fun.
that.
That'll be fun. That'll be fun.
But
I'm on all those road shows, so I always come and Booker. I always do Booker show, so
okay,
he always takes care of me, and I always take care of him. So it's me and Book have a very special relationship that it developed because of the Most Wanted Treasure show. Um,
okay.
Me and Book became very good friends because of that show. So and Charmel. Um, that's the thing that a lot of people always ask me, what's the best thing that about being the Most Wanted Treasure show host, and people think it's seeing Undertaker's urn or Ric Flair's robe. No, it was the relationships that I cultivated with the guys. From like I have a working and friendship relationship with Mick Foley and Mark Henry and Booker T and Big Show and Ric Flair and Jake the Snake and you know all these guys, Jimmy Hart and all these guys because of how we got to spend so much time together and The Undertaker and Kane and how we spent so much time together working on that show. So, but yeah, I love Booker, man.
Well, AJ, this was definitely a pleasure. Thank you so much for the time today. It is greatly appreciated. I look forward to seeing you every Thursday night on TNA Wrestling. You can watch it here on Access TV in the United States, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. And also, like you talked about earlier, the big deal out in Canada, and you'll be on Sportsnet starting on this coming Thursday, January the 2nd. And TNA Genesis coming up on January the 19th, live on pay-per-view. It has been a pleasure, my friend. Congratulations on signing a new deal with Impact. I almost said Impact. How dare me with TNA Wrestling. We will talk soon, my friend. In 2025, tag team titles. I'm going to predict you're going to win the X Division title. And if Joe Hendry beats Nick Nemeth, you're gonna beat Joe Hendry, and then you're gonna smoke. Then you're gonna make him buy you some cigars.
I like the idea of being a Grand Slam champion after 2 years in
I'm
TNA.
calling it.
So
I'm calling it.
I love the idea.
Congratulations, AJ, and we'll talk soon, my friend.
Thank you, brother.